legal analysis on this investigation. Let's bring in criminal defense attorney Sara Azari. Sara, South Carolina's Law Enforcement Division, what's known as SLED, they opened their case almost 2 years ago. They have not given any sort of update since that initial announcement. The agency, to our knowledge, has not requested a new autopsy or even to exhume the body. So how unusual is it to see the family of a deceased individual take steps like this on their own?
Yeah, you know, Ellison, I think, look, Sandy Smith is obviously entitled to closure. A family is always entitled to an independent autopsy. But we have to remember here that 8 years has passed since the death of Stephen Smith, and I'm not sure what the condition of the body is going to be, whether they're going to be able to x-ray it, whether they're going to be able to conduct an autopsy. And frankly, if SLED thought that exhuming the body and conducting a new autopsy or x-rays would lead to any sort of leads in this investigation, I would think that SLED would have done it on their own, you know, initiative by way of a search warrant. I mean, SLED doesn't need an order. The family needs a probate order, but SLED could certainly do it by way of a search warrant. So the fact that SLED has not taken this step, you know, I think tells us that this is maybe a little unusual, you know, that a family's coming in after 8 years, despite the need for closure, to get the body exhumed.
So a lot of the questions about this case, and really the Murdoch family in general, were spurred by true crime podcasts, and there's been so much speculation on social media. At the same time, I mean, you did have SLED, a law enforcement agency in that state, telling the public, we are looking into Stephen Smith's death because of information obtained while investigating this other high-profile Murdoch murder, double murder. So does SLED have any sort of obligation here, be it legally or just morally, to give the public some sort of update on their investigation into Stephen Smith's death?
I mean, not to denigrate SLED, but we saw, you know, a lot about how SLED does things during the Murdoch murder trial. But, you know, to your point, but for the Murdoch murders, this story would not, you know, be of national interest. This would be another roadside killing, whether it be by physical assault or hit and run. It would never, you know, never make national headlines. It would be a local story. So it is because two individuals, I think two or more, in the community, unidentified, anonymous, started this rumor that it was Buster Murdoch, that this happened near the Moselle property, which, by the way, at the time, the Murdochs were not living there. They were living in Hampton. And then the podcasts and the docuseries, they all ran with this rumor. There was no evidence of Buster being involved or connected with Stephen Smith's death. And so here we are. So I would say if there's one thing SLED doesn't have an obligation to do is update the public. This would not be a public interest except for a lie and a rumor that these podcasts and different platforms have ran with for, you know, 3 years now.
So let's talk about this statement from Buster Murdoch. If you are his attorney, why would you have your client issue this statement now, particularly if, as you said, this is just based on rumors?
Yeah, so Ellison, you know, I have a lot of respect for Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin, and I would have done this maybe even earlier. The issue here is that Buster has really tried to stay out of the spotlight. He has tried to be private. He has not made any statements. He has not given any interviews, and he was trying not to do that. But it's a little too much. You know, this young man has been convicted in the court of public opinion. The headlines say, is Buster the new or the next Murdoch murderer? I mean, it's outrageous, you know, his reputation, you know, the fact that they're saying, you know, he's in a relationship with a woman, but, you know, they're saying that he might have been gay, he might have had a relationship with Stephen Smith, that he was connected with his death, that this was a hate crime by him. I mean, it is completely out of control. So I think, I mean, yeah, I would give the same statement now. And let's not forget, Ellison, that D word towards the end of that statement speaks volumes, and it sends a loud and clear message to everybody that they need to leave Buster alone, because if they don't, they could be exposed to defamation.
All right, Sara Azari, thank you so much. We appreciate your time and insight.